Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS in.form. I'm your host, Bill Potter. We have joining us in the studio a local author. His name is Kenneth Edward Barnes. And Ken, you're actually from Perry County, Spencer
Where
County?
I live now. I was born in Warwick County.
In Warwick County? Okay. So some of the books you have been written about life in Perry or Spencer or Warwick County.
Yes.
But you also write other books that are fiction or fact. Let's first of all find out a little bit about Kenneth Edward Barnes. Have you always been writing books? Tell us about yourself.
Since '78, I started writing poems at church, and people liked them, so I started writing children's poems and children's stories, and then I started writing fiction first in 1985, and then Life on Pigeon Creek. That was a nonfiction about my life growing up and all the unique people I knew. And then over the years, I started writing outdoor articles. I wrote for the Warwick County paper and the Perry County newspaper, then magazines too, Fur Fishing Game and Midwest Outdoors I write for now. And it sort of expanded after I retired. I really started writing and all different types of books.
What inspires you to write?
So many things. I mean, I love nature. Since I'm an outdoor writer, I incorporate nature into my books. Like the Arkansas River Monster, I have 4 in a series, and it's about this unknown creature in the Arkansas River and all the chaos it causes. And you have to read all 4 books to find out the real story at the end, how it all came to be. But
okay, and you have that book here now.
Yes.
The Arkansas River Monster. Is this all 4 books?
Yes, this is all 4 into one, and you can also get them separately too.
Okay. Now, I guess one thing you might want to know is that you are going to be at Rural King on Sunday, May 20th, doing a book signing and selling some of your books. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, from 10 a.m. local time to 2 p.m. at Rural King, I'll have dozens of books. I have over 80 titles, so I cannot have every title there, but I'll have a few copies of some of the most popular ones and like 1 or 2 copies of the others. But if someone gets online and looks up a book and wants it, to make sure they have it, they can order it. It usually takes 8 to 10 days to get it, and that way they bring it with them and I can sign it for them. Okay,
now, or can you dedicate it to somebody if they want that too on the inside sleeve? Okay.
As long as I can spell the words.
Okay, yeah, all right. These books are available. How can somebody get your books? If somebody watching right now wants to get one of your books.
You can go to Amazon and just type in Kenneth Edward Barnes books and find them. You can even Google my name, Kenneth Edward Barnes, and find most of them. Okay. But they're available at Amazon, and they all come in paperback. All the ones that's long enough to be paperback, and then there's a few little children's books that's ebooks only, but all these paperbacks are also available as ebooks, and they vary in price from like $7.99 to $12.99 usually.
Okay, and something we do want to point out that when you go to Amazon to order this book, type in Kenneth Edward Barnes.
Yes.
Don't put Kenny Barnes or Ken Barnes. Kenneth Edward Barnes, your full name all the way out.
And when I order myself, if you order $25 worth of books, you get free shipping. So I make sure I get, because that saves you, some money and like getting a free book almost. Okay,
so you're going to do a book signing on May 20th at Rural King, and you will have books available that folks can buy there, but bring cash or a check. Or they can order them online and bring it to you and find that and get you to sign it that way. Let's talk about some of the books that you have. Let's talk first of all about this one.
This is my latest book, and it's only been out a few weeks, but it seems to be pretty popular. I haven't had a review on it yet, but when I was a child, I loved prehistoric animals like most people, most children, and in fact it got me in trouble sometimes because in study hall I'd be sitting there reading encyclopedias about prehistoric animals, and but it helped me in my writing. And this is about a small clan of Neanderthals and the trials and tribulations they go through. And like I said, I haven't had a review yet, but it's pretty popular so far, and it's only been out a few weeks.
But it's fiction, so you made up what you're reading, but it's got a little probably fact in it because you knew that there were mammoths.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's got mammoth, saber-toothed tigers, giant ground sloth, all the animals, giant hogs, and some of the prehistoric animals that they would have encountered.
Now, that book, and I'm judging it by size, looks like it's probably a pretty easy read. But, probably somebody can sit down in a couple of evenings and enjoy the book.
Oh, yes.
Because some people don't want to commit a long time to some books. And that's what's nice about this. It's a nice short book.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of fluff, they call it. I mean, I get to the story, and a lot of people have made comments they like that because, you know, some books have so much scenery, it goes on and on and on, and it's boring. And I don't want it boring. I want it action. And
so this is kind of an action book about them, or
well, they encounter all these creatures they have, you know, every day. Instead of going to work, they have to go out and kill these animals that survive. So they encounter, you know, woolly rhinoceros and all kind of things.
Well, that makes me wonder, how do you like have a dream and go, okay, this is what my book's going to be? Or you're walking through the woods, you go, hey, I'm going to do a book on mammoths and Neanderthals, and so I sit down. Do you write an outline? How do you keep yourself on task? I guess
every book comes a different way. I mean, I was taking a walk through the woods on a trail one day, and I thought something I had in my mind for 30 years called "The Day That Time Stood Still." I thought this would be great about these people that live like we do, off the grid, and all of a sudden they're in this time warp, and their clocks have stopped, and that's one of my books, and it's pretty popular. People like it.
Okay, what's the name of it?
The Day That Time Stood Still.
Okay, so that's one that would be available on Amazon.
Yes.
Because I don't think you didn't bring that one today.
No, I didn't bring
it. Now let's talk about this next one. This is your first
Western. I grew up in the 50s, like a lot of baby boomers, and that was about all on TV was Westerns, and I love Westerns. And I'm an outdoor writer too, and I have knowledge of animals and guns and all that, hunting. And I thought, well, I would like to write a Western. And this is a pretty thick book. I mean, it's got 72,000 words in it. And it's about this young couple that go out west on the Oregon Trail in the 1870s, about the time Custer engages with the Indians and all this stuff. And they have all these trials and tribulations on the way there. Then after they get there, it's not easy going, just like it really happened.
So this is your first Western that you've written?
Yes.
How do you feel it came out?
Well, I've only had one review, but they really liked it. They said, well, it really shows the trials and tribulations that they went through, and it don't end, you know, there has a lot of sorrow because that's what happened. So they liked it. So it's only been out a few weeks.
Why did it take you so long to write a Western?
Well, I guess because I had so many other things to write, and I thought it would be difficult. You know, it wasn't necessarily easy, but when you write a book, you have this idea in your mind, and you have sort of an outline, but you start, as you go, the more you go, the more ideas start coming. And it's sort of just like one door opens, and I can go here, and I can go there, and I try to put everything I could think of in this book, you know, that was in the West, like the elk, the grizzly bear. I mean, anything I could think of that they would have encountered or had to deal with, I try to put in this book.
Do you ever, like when you're writing this book, do you get to say the second last chapter, you go, oh, I need to change something way back? Do you go back and forth when you write?
Yes. Sometimes you have to switch chapters around. Sometimes I don't really like writing for one reason, because when I'm trying to sleep, the idea pop in my head when I'm trying to go to sleep, and I have to get up and make a note, or I'll forget it, or I'll be writing something, I forgot to put this in there, and it needs to be in there. And the good thing about this, if I do forget something, or if I even find a typing error, I can go back and update it and correct it. And I did that a few times. So.
And who publishes your books?
Amazon.
Amazon publishes. Okay.
Yes.
Now you have another book here. This one would be more of a compilation of your work over the years. Is that right?
Yes. This is pretty much every article I've ever written for newspapers and magazines. It has just a handful of stories out of life on Pigeon Creek. But this is my dog, Princess.
I was going to ask,
yes.
Is the dog of significance to you?
Yes. There's a poem about her in there. It won honorable mention in a nationwide contest. I don't know if that's important or not, but one of the best compliments I ever had from her writing, I gave a poem to a lady friend that worked at a sporting goods store. And I met her later on, and I said, "Did you like the poem?" She said, "Well, I couldn't read it." And I thought, was it that bad? And she said, "No, I cried so much I couldn't finish it. It took me several times to get through it." So evidently it touches people's hearts. And it's got humor stories. A couple of them I won awards in, the Great Groundhog Hunt and the Duck Hunt. When I was a member of Hoosier Outdoor Writers, they have a yearly contest for other outdoor writers, and I didn't go to college, so I thought that was pretty good. I placed second and third place different times, and competing against other professional writers. So they're in here. There's stories about hunting, fishing, conservation. It talks about the pasture pigeon. The pasture pigeons that used to live here, the Carolina parakeet, all the animals that disappeared from Indiana that people probably don't even know disappeared, like the deer and the turkey and the otter, so forth.
And so that's kind of like many of your different writings, little short stories. So each one is its own little chapter, I guess, in a way. And then you brought some other books. You've got a wide variety. You said you have 80 different titles.
Over 80 titles.
So I guess it depends on what sort of books somebody likes. Somebody likes a Western, you've got a Western for them. If somebody likes poems, you've got poems.
I got a poem book.
And if somebody likes stories about Spencer or Perry County or Warwick County,
those two, yes.
Tell me about those books.
Well, I have one there, Life on Pigeon Creek.
Is that a picture of you in the front?
Yes, I'm 4.5 years old. I have the earlier version, it's called Boner Bridge, which spans Little Pigeon Creek from Warwick into Spencer. But this is an updated version, it has like 10, 15 more thousand words and a couple extra pictures. But it's about my life growing up in Warwick County and all the unique people I knew. I mean, we had a Yankeestown's Tarzan and a lady that lived down the road that was raised show cats. I mentioned this before, but I have several copies of this I have with me Sunday on the 20th. And it's got some humorous stories about me growing up and some heart-touching stories too.
And then the other one is A Cabin in the Woods, and that's a little more current.
Yeah,
right?
This is actually my second most popular book, Cabin in the Woods. It's about me living off the grid, how I cleared the land and built a cabin by hand with a hammer and a handsaw, dug my own well, and it took faith to do it because I lived in a camper the first winter with no heat, no running water, and I had to wear a tie and work on computers because I was a salesman at Sears, so I had to live in two different worlds. And it talks about all the struggles I did becoming a writer, and it's like one person that reviewed it said that I talked to, in this book, I talk to the reader just like I'm sitting and talking to a friend. So they really enjoyed it.
You must have a great style then.
Yes, I try.
Now, again, we want to point out that not this Sunday, but Sunday, May 20th.
Yes.
Sunday, May 20th, you will be at Rural King doing a book signing.
Yes.
And he may have the book that you want, but he may also not. So you may want to go on Amazon.com and type in Kenneth Edward Barnes, Barnes, so that you can find the book that way. And they ship about pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you may, take some luck. You may get lucky and find that he's got the book that you were wanting anyway. Or just pick a book to read.
Even if you don't want to buy a book, just come by and say hi and talk to me, ask me some questions.
All right. Well, Kenneth, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Our guest has been Kenneth Edward Barnes. He is a local author now living in Perry County, from Warwick County, but has also done some time, I guess you could say, in Spencer County as well. Yeah. A local author with 80 different titles. Look him up online or simply stop by at the book signing coming up May 20th. Thank you very much for being our guest. Thank you for watching WJTS. We are local people watching local people.